On today's JMO at Josh and Joe, we have college bowl games. The meat of the schedule of bowl games. We give you our records, which was very surprising.
Yep.
Very, very surprising. Then talk a little bit about the transition college football's going towards, or going through. We're not very happy about it right now, but we're gonna give it some time.
Give it some time.
Give it a little bit of time. Then we'll go into some of the bowl games. We don't go into every single bowl game just because some of them are better than others. Some of them have better storylines than others. But we run through those bowl games. Then we go into the NFL. Mostly, we barely talk about the games. We mostly talk about the playoff implications. Who's the frauds? Who's going to lose in the first round? Who's going to win the Super Bowl? Who we want to win the Super Bowl? Who we want to go to the NFC and AFC championship games?
Yep.
We talk about that, some controversial calls, and then we finish off with our prediction for the national championship game.
All right. Let's rock and roll.
Welcome to JMO, Josh and Joe. It is Tuesday, January 2nd. And guys, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Merry Christmas. We took last week off for the holidays. It was fun. It was nice. It was needed. Did a lot of eating, a lot of drinking, and that week between Christmas and New Year's, man, it's I'm 33 years old, and it still just gets me every time.
Well, it's a no time zone.
It is. It like, and the dates don't exist.
Exactly. Like you don't know what time, what day it is. Like it's all a blur.
I know. I was hungover on a Wednesday, and I was just like, "This is weird. I don't know how to feel about this." But it was fun. I had great holidays. It was a good time. Everyone was safe. Everyone was having fun. We were all everything was good. Everything was good. But yeah, we had some good football. We had some bad football, but we also had some really, really good football. I do want to start off. Let's start off with the last 2 weeks of bowl games. We did our picks, and it was unreal. The fact that both of us got the exact same record.
Yep.
We both went 23-18.
Yes.
Which, not gonna lie, I think that's pretty good. I mean, like, all things considered, I think that's not bad.
I think with all the opt-outs now, like in today's college football culture, I think that's actually pretty good. It's really anything goes. Like some of these games ended up, I couldn't have called it from like a mile away.
Right, and that's a good transition to what I kind of wanted to start with is this bowl games don't matter anymore. Nobody gives a fuck. It's unfortunate, but they just don't have the allure to them unless you're in the playoffs, which, again, I'm glad we're expanding the 12-team playoff because it'll make it a little more it'll make it a lot more fun, actually. I'm fucking pumped. But the transition phase, I think in about 3 or 4 years we're going to have it all figured out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there'll be some consistency because this kind of sucks. The transfer portal needs to be it needs to be regulated way more than it is now.
Yep.
It's getting ridiculous. Players are just opting out whenever they want. They go to the transfer portal whenever they want. It's difficult to keep track. It's difficult for colleges to get a program going. Like you got people like Nick Saban who basically just use their recruiting class and they groom them from freshman, sophomore, and then usually they'll start playing junior, senior year or something like that. And I don't know. I just feel like it's hard to get a program going with when you got people like Kyle McCord just getting pissed off at Ohio State and transferring.
Yeah. I think the analytics will catch up to it. Right now, it's still very early on. So, and basically what it's going to be it's going to be exaggerated as far as like the guys that do make it in the from like a transfer portal. The guys that do make it on transfer portals are getting exaggerated of being like the every case scenario. But like once we actually accumulate enough data and like these coaches are going to figure this stuff out. They're going to find out like exactly who like people that transfer and what their type of impact is. And I think it's going to be a lot smaller of a number than people realize.
Well, my biggest problem, and we'll get to this during when we recap the FSU Georgia game, but Florida State had half their team opt out. And that's bullshit. That was fucking bullshit. They all quit on Mike Norville. Like, what the hell was he supposed to do?
Yeah.
Again, we'll get to that, but it's that I'm just giving an example of just these players being able to opt out when I don't know. I think I really do think contracts need to get involved, and I think they will get involved, especially with agents when people have agents now. But like, it sucks. It sucks because you watch Florida State Georgia, and it was a blowout. It was. I mean, if you watch any second of that game, and it's not because I lost a bet. This has nothing to do with my lost bet. I hate that players just get to opt out like that. They basically get to quit. And I think if I'm an NFL scout or if I'm an NFL team, I see that and I'm just like, all right, fuck you. I'm not gonna have you on my team. You quit.
Yeah.
Like I said, we'll get to that a little bit. It does kind of suck that the bowl games don't really matter anymore. It just you could tell there was a feel like now. Granted, actually it was kind of fun with the smaller schools, like the bowl games with the smaller schools. I don't know. Those seem to still have a good. I don't know. They seem to be fun.
There's some of them that know that like, hey, look, we weren't gonna make it big time anyways.
This was the best we're gonna get.
This is our big game of the year.
Yeah.
So you don't see as many like opt outs with those, especially actually smaller teams. You don't really see as many opt outs as well because It's not like a lot of them are going to the pros, and then the ones that do transfer. There's maybe a few really good players that try to like level up now, but other than that, it's like, hey, no, this is where my opportunity's at.
Yeah, and like I said, I think in about 3 or 4 years, when the playoffs, when all the conferences get aligned or whatever you want to call it, and the playoffs get figured out, I think they're gonna figure out a bowl game situation for like maybe I don't know, like you know how college basketball has the NCAA tournament and the NIT. You know, something like that. I think they can figure out something with that to make, like, I don't know, just more meaningful games than just, like, the best part of the bowl games are the mascots. Like, I mean, think about it. We had, 4 or 5 bowl games where the mascot was by far the best part of the fucking bowl game. The Pop-Tart was electric.
Yeah.
Especially when you're singing Higher by Creed. Oh, it was unreal.
And then you got the Mayo Bowl, Duke's Mayo Bowl,
the Cheez-It Bowl.
They're having to find other ways to actually, keep the players involved, keep it entertaining.
I say Nickelodeon get you a bowl game. Let's do a Slime Bowl.
A Slime Bowl would actually be really good.
That'd be electric. That'd be fun as hell.
I like what Barstool does. They kind of put their own spin on their game.
I just like how Dave Portnoy and Big Cat they clearly bet on the game and they're announcing it.
As they're announcing.
Yeah. It's like you can figure out who they're betting on within 2 minutes of the game.
Exactly.
Which I think is kind of fun. Like, these announcers, if they could, they would bet on these games. But I guess they have to stay neutral. It is just kind of fun to watch watch certain announcers that have bias. Let's see. You got anything else before we get to the bowl games?
I think that's about it.
All right, let's LSU versus Wisconsin. Let's start off with that. I'm gonna start with the defense because they made a fucking play. They made a stop in the fourth quarter to allow us to win. I was watching the game and I was like, this is a situation where the defense is absolutely gonna give up a touchdown in the last second. And they came through. They had a huge stop, and it's promising. It's not really too promising, but I like that we ended on a good note.
Yeah, no, it was nice to see that. that was the deciding factor. Our defense was the one that won the game. It still showed that, obviously there's a lot of problems. There's a lot of core problems to it, and I think it's a lot of player personnel. I just don't think we really have a lot of players in the back end, which makes us really susceptible to like big plays, like as we saw.
Right.
But
like Mordecai threw all over.
yeah,
And I mean, he
had like 6 touchdowns all year.
Yeah, yeah, and he had 3 of them that day with 378 yards. Like it's I think you're right. I think Brian Kelly needs to do some type of recruiting, try and get people through the transfer portal, do something. Get some athletes in the backfield. Like not the backfield, the secondary. Yeah, it's just tough. It was nice to see Garrett Nussmeier make some decent throws. It was he wasn't like too sharp because he had some throws that were just like, I don't know what you're doing. You're throwing out to the flats and you just aired it by like 15 yards. But there was also some throws where I was just like, okay, all right, I can see some potential here.
He is a true gunslinger. He's going to be a very different play style than what we saw with Jaden Daniels. But yeah, that man he just hangs in the pocket and he just slings it.
He does not run.
No,
it is going to be polar opposites. Yeah, there was no Jaden Daniels. I wasn't surprised. The Malik Neighbors played for a little bit. We got a lot of Brian Thomas Jr., which was nice. And I got some Caleb Jackson. I hope they end up playing him sometime. Like maybe next year, hopefully,
They're going to be forced to, because this type of offense, honestly, what we did with Jaden Daniels, he was able to honestly really kind of help out not a very good running game.
Right.
He was really he took up the running and the passing part of our offense.
Well, that was multiple games where he had the most rush yards.
Exactly.
Multiple games.
So, but next year, if you're going to have Nussmeier as your quarterback, which he's going to be a very viable, great option, should take the offense pretty far, he's just going to have to be supplied with a good running game.
Yep. It was nice to get the W. Again, like, it was just the first half was just... It was mind-numbing to watch. It was tough. Finally got it together in the second half, which it's also a good sign. Brian Kelly making adjustments, doing things. It was just nice to get the win. Like, again, it was just like I wasn't as pumped up for this game as I feel like I should have been. And I think it's just because the bowl games just don't matter. Like,
yeah.
What did we get from this? Like, I don't know. It's just, for some reason, I don't know if it's just me getting old or something, but like the bowl games used to mean a little bit more. Like it felt like it meant more.
Well, and now, I mean, it's just almost like we had just talked about. It's almost just you're previewing for your next season.
Yes, you're right. I have to switch my focus. I have to switch my mindset to basically this is another spring game, which. Honestly, it's kind of cool because, like, I like the spring game for what it is, Like, I enjoy watching the spring game because I'm basically looking at what we're going to do next year. And if I just change my focus to, a new spring game.
Yeah, because, I mean, you could even say that if you're, like, a Wisconsin fan, they're watching this game, and basically they're just eyeing the sideline. They're just eyeing, Tyler Van Dyke, who's transferring from Miami over to Wisconsin next year. They're just waiting on him.
Yeah, and I mean, this was kind of deceiving because Mordecai looked awesome. Is he a senior?
Yeah, he is. He transferred over from
Utah, right? Or
SMU.
SMU. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, actually, that was a good game for him. He might, do something in the combine. You might get drafted. Who knows? You got anything else in this game? Good win.
It was a good win. Good win.
Yeah. Way to end the year.
Nussmeier, almost 400 yards.
Yep.
Nice to see.
Yep. And I think he had, 3 touchdowns?
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 tutties. He had an interception, but we won't talk about that. Harold Perkins Jr. had a rushing touchdown.
Yeah, I didn't have that one on my bingo card.
Yep, me neither. Me neither. But yeah, no, it was a good win. Let's get to Michigan versus Bama. Milroe looked really bad. Milroe looked like Milroe of the first 2 games of the season. I'm not gonna like blame anything, but I'm gonna say probably the reason was it was too much rest. I don't like the break in between the amount of time I guess that they have.
It is bizarre to have that much time between the conference championship and the playoff, and then a week, and then it goes
Right.
by, and then you have the national championship.
I mean, not like it matters anymore because next year it's just all going to be playoff games, which, again, I fucking can't wait. But, yeah, it was just, it's too much time. Rest versus rust, you know? I mean, you see that in the NFL, too. You get, like, the Baltimore Ravens. They're going to be resting everybody week 18. They're going to get a bye week, and then they're finally going to play. So their starters aren't going to play for 3 weeks, you know?
Plus, Jim Harbaugh is a good coach. You give him that much
Great
amount of
coach.
time to study somebody to attack Jalen Milroe, you'll figure out his weak points.
Yep. And I think that he found a weak point in the offensive line, too. I mean, the offensive line hasn't been great for Alabama, but Nick Saban's been able to call plays and move him around and move Milroe around. That center for Alabama was just fucking up all fucking day. It was he couldn't get anything right. There were some times where Milroe, you could tell he bailed the center out.
Yep.
Like there was a bad snap, but Milroe had quick reflexes and caught the ball. I am a little confused at the end. Why Saban decided to go straight into the middle with it, even though the Michigan defensive line was kind of having its way with the Alabama offensive line. I didn't really get that.
So apparently, I got a breakdown on the play, and I think Milroe was actually supposed to start in the middle and then bounce his way to the left because there was the right guard actually pulled from the right side to the left.
So it's like a misdirection thing. Not
It's
a misdirection,
supposed- it's kind of a misdirection.
Kind of a misdirection. I don't know. If I'm them, I'm taking Milroe and just booking it to the outside. Like let him use his speed. See if he can find an opening and I don't know, bust through. But or an option, like a run pass option. You know,
RPO.
I feel like that would have been a better call. I didn't get it.
Yeah, I would have wanted something, maybe even like a rollout. My personal preference would probably been a little bit of a rollout.
Because they needed 4 yards?
Yeah, they needed about 4 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that way if you roll him out, he can at least, toss it up if need be, or he can just do a last minute, QB sneak into the end zone. You give him options.
Yeah.
But I do understand where Tommy Rees was coming from because Tommy Rees did make this call. Nick Saban in his post-game conference said that. There was kind of some logic to it because at this point, Jalen Milroe only had 116 passing yards.
Right.
It wasn't like he was really doing anything through the air.
No, he wasn't lighting it up at all.
So, I guess that's what the bread and butter was this game, the only thing that was working. Because if you remember a couple of plays before, they actually had that stuffed run where Michigan got a lot of momentum,
Yep.
but then Jalen Milroe had that escape out the pocket, and he really made it an interesting game. I really thought he was actually about to get a score on that one.
It was nice to see an overtime game in the playoffs. It was good. Both these games were they weren't. I guess on paper you look at it and like, oh, they were pretty close, but they weren't like I'm talking both playoff games. They weren't like great games. Like Texas had a weird comeback in the fourth quarter. And it was just kind of slow. The Alabama-Michigan game was just kind of slow. It got exciting there at the end.
I was gonna say
it did pick up.
It was still though close the entire time.
Right.
Alabama-Michigan was close the entire time. Texas-Washington, that one felt like it was like out of hand, but then Texas just kind of out of nowhere just pulled up almost a comeback.
Yeah, almost a comeback. Actually, we can get to that game if you don't have anything else on Alabama. Michigan. Congrats, Michigan Wolverines. Jim Harbaugh, hell of a coach. Probably going to be in the NFL next year. J.J. McCarthy is not a great quarterback. I think he just had a really, really good game.
Not the best Michigan quarterback of all time.
That shit is ridiculous. It's wild. I mean, Granted, I don't think he was like Brady didn't really have that great of a Michigan career.
No, that's the thing. People were trying to argue on the internet because they were the quick triggered one was like, oh, but there's Tom Brady. But
Tom Brady wasn't that good.
If you really break it down, there's a reason why Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick. Mm-hmm. He wasn't. He split time in college. He didn't actually was the full-time starter.
Yeah. He wasn't. He was a late bloomer.
Yeah.
But yeah, Texas, Washington. Washington beats Texas 37-31. I know Quentin Ewers had 318 yards, but he was kind of off. I mean, he threw it 43 fucking times. Like he was 24 43, 318 yards and 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Michael Penix Jr. We need to talk about this. 29-38, 430 yards, 2 touchdowns. The man just went off.
Oh yeah,
it was awesome. He took over the game. And honestly, everybody was like, "Oh, he should have won Heisman. He had a slump. He had a slump during the year. Fortunately, Dylan Johnson was able to pick up some of the slack. He did not do enough. He didn't do enough. There wasn't enough stats. The only thing that he had going is that Washington went undefeated. But Michael Penix I think he should be a 1st-round draft pick.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like you said, hell of a game he had. He does have some good wide receivers. He does have some good weapons on his arsenal. I mean,
Odunze or Odunze, I don't know how to say his name.
Yeah, and Jalen Polk.
Yeah.
They incredible wide receivers. So they've just got a good all around team.
Oh, dude, and their underdog mentality. Oh, it's beautiful. They've been underdogs in almost most of their big games.
Most of the big games, yeah.
Even against Oregon, they were like -6 or +6.5 or something against Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game.
Yep, I end up getting money off that one.
Yeah, that was.
It's just like you said, Washington's been loving this, underdog mentality, and they've just been winning. There's not really there's not a huge explanation except for Michael Penix Jr. on why and how they're winning. They just win.
Yeah, and they're actually 4.5-point underdogs against Michigan. I don't know what I don't know.
Bet the house on Washington.
Let's see. I mean, the playoff committee had Michigan 1, Washington 2, and both of them are in the championship game. So, especially with that Florida State loss, the committee's just like, okay, now they can breathe.
I will say, Florida State players were trolling Alabama after the loss.
Yeah, well,
I don't think it was really.
When you lose to Georgia by like 50-something points. Or what was the score?
Oh, it was 60 points.
It was 60 points, yeah.
Yeah, 63-3.
Yeah, when you lose by 60 points, you can't really troll.
Yeah.
Especially on a team that went to OT with Michigan. Let's see, yeah, Washington overall all-around team. This is going to be a great fucking national championship game.
Oh, yeah.
I do respect the fact that Washington would just... They wouldn't stop running Dylan Johnson, even though he wasn't going anywhere. They constantly kept feeding him. He had 21 carries for 49 yards, average of 2.3 yards per carry. He did have 2 tutties. But yeah, I just respect it. I respect it. They kept going with it. I mean, he's a great running back. It'll work out. It'll probably work out. Actually, I don't know. They might want to switch it up. They might want to even have Michael Penix throw even more against Michigan, but because that Michigan defense is really good.
Yeah, I feel like that's a Kalen DeBoer type of philosophy. Like, hey, I don't care. We're just gonna keep shoving it down.
Keep shoving it. Yep, I love it. You got anything else on this one?
I do want to talk about the no PI call at the very end. I think that was a good call.
Yeah,
I think it was a good no call. He was making a play on the ball.
It was very controversial, and a lot of people they see that physicality. They see them touching each other, and they can get physical with each other as long as they're playing the ball. They're not like you said. As long as he's at least trying to play the ball, they can touch each other.
You can make contact, yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, there was some I feel like there was some controversy around it, but for the most part, I like that most people agreed. Hey, you got to let that play.
It was mostly because it was at the end of the game, big time.
Exactly.
Moment. So, yeah, I agree. I thought it was a good no call. But yeah, Washington versus Michigan, baby. This is gonna be a good one. I didn't like the fact that everybody's like, oh, it's Big Ten. Big Ten. No. It's Pac-12 versus Big Ten. It's not Big Ten versus Big Ten. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But yeah. Anyways, let's see. Missouri, Ohio State, dude. Real quick with this one. This was a problem for. I think this is more of a good thing for Drinkwitz than it is a problem for Ryan Day. But it is a problem for Ryan Day.
I think you needed, especially with all the bad press that you were getting after the Michigan game, I think you needed some good news to come around. Like we said, the bowl games don't matter anymore, but they kind of do. They could be momentum shifters a little bit in a way.
I don't know. He scored 3 points. I get it. You're starting a true freshman. The guy was a 5-star recruit. You don't have your best wide receivers. I get it, but I don't know.
I mean, that didn't make a difference for Lincoln Riley.
No, it didn't. It did not. And you're Ohio State. Your second string and third string should be able to be starters on almost any fucking team.
Mm-hmm.
So that's I don't know. But let's give props to Eli Drinkwitz. That man has coached his balls off this entire fucking season. No one expected Missouri to do this. No one.
Yeah, no, he's had a fantastic season. Like you said, I mean, it's a good momentum shifter for Mizzou as well. But I feel like this almost maybe seems like the beginning of the end for Ryan Day right here.
Yeah, hot seat. I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna say it right now. Hot seat. Where is Eli Drinkwitz gonna coach next? I think he might stay in Missouri because I don't think there's anything gonna be opening up.
What about Ohio State?
If it opens up, I mean, Ryan Day's on the hot seat. We just announced it.
Right?
I don't know. I think literally the next. Ooh, what about Michigan? When Jim Harbaugh leaves.
Yeah, because even though they might still win a national championship, it does feel like his time is out.
Yeah, no, he hired that agent, Don Yee, I think his name is. I can't remember.
Yep.
He has a lot of ties to the NFL.
I think his time's running out in college football or his welcome is running out with all the suspensions this year and the investigation.
I think he can do whatever the fuck he wants. But I like to your point, that's just all the more reason to get the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a West Coast job out there that is available, and it seems like they're offering him what he wants.
They're gonna throw the house at him.
I mean, and he likes the West Coast. He's coached at San Francisco,
Stanford.
And Stanford. L.A. Great weather. Oh, I think he'll love it in L.A. It'll be fun to see Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers. See what he can do with Justin Herbert. Look what he did with Colin Kaepernick.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's all I really wanted to talk about with this. Game was kind of bleh. But, yeah, big problem for Ryan Day. Let's see. Eli Drinkwitz to Michigan?
We'll see.
Let's get to Georgia, FSU. I was pissed. FSU quit on Norville. I don't like all the opt-outs. It's one of those games where the committee was just like, I don't know. The committee could take a step back and just be like, okay. Nobody can say anything.
Yeah, I know. That's it. The committee gets its way in that sense. I think the committee honestly has ruined Florida State for the next 10 years.
They ruined the ACC for sure.
Yeah.
And I agree. I mean, I feel bad for Mike Norville because I kind of like him as a coach. It does make me feel pretty good because I still have a bad taste in my mouth from when Florida State beat us. Not only at the beginning of this season, but at the beginning of last season too.
Yep.
Not very happy with them. So, yeah, I'm not really that upset about it. I'm just mad because I lost money. Okay, yeah, fine. I'll admit. I saw Florida State plus 19.5, and I was just like, all right, that's ridiculous. Then I forgot it was college football, and they were playing Georgia.
Yeah, and there was so many opt-outs. Yeah, it's you got beat bad whenever the opposing coach uses his post-game press conference to feel bad for you, feel sorry for you.
Oh man,
and explain why they lost so bad.
I mean, hell, I think Georgia probably had. Georgia could have been in the college football playoffs with Bama, easily, very easily.
Yeah, talent-wise, yes.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, it probably could have beat Michigan, if I'm being totally honest. Yeah, they fucking quit. It pisses me the fuck off. Nobody gives a shit about bowl games anymore. Nobody has any pride in their fucking school. And yeah, it's just I think it needs to be regulated. This is a transition period, so I understand. I'm gonna be patient. But in about 3 or 4 years, I really, really hope all this is figured out.
Yeah, we're gonna need some things fixed.
Yep. Georgia's looking good for next year. They're gonna be a fucking powerhouse. You got anything else in this?
That's about it.
All right, Maryland versus Auburn, very, very fast. Hugh Freeze is on the hot seat already.
No, he secured himself a top 20 or a top 10 recruiting class.
Yeah.
So he's fine.
But I mean, this is a good win for Mike Locksley, for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Nice little dub from Mike Locksley. Auburn will give. Auburn gives bad coaches too many chances, anyways. Even dating back to Tommy fucking Tuberville. Yeah. That's
well, this was his first year, so
I know. But Auburn does that. All right. You got anything else in college football?
That's about it.
It was a nice little bowl game slate. We had some pretty good games. We had some close ones. We had some blowouts, but overall, it was pretty good. I thought it was fun. Let's see. NFL Saints versus Bucks. Fuck the Saints. I'm done. I'm out. Why do they keep playing with my emotions like this? We still have a chance to get to the playoffs.
I know.
And there's multiple ways to get to the playoffs too. We really ideally we have to win. We have to win either way. So we have to beat Atlanta. But Atlanta still can make the playoffs too.
And they can still make the playoffs.
Right. So both Atlanta and the Saints need Tampa Bay to lose to Carolina. Now, the Falcons, the only way they get in is if Tampa Bay loses to Carolina. Tampa Bay can beat Carolina and the Saints can win and still get into the playoffs. If Tampa Bay wins and Saints win, it's a tie. Tie goes to Tampa. But if Green Bay loses and Seattle loses next week and Saints win, Saints are in. And there's 2 NFC South teams in the playoffs.
So again, this is where I hate being the Saints fan because I'm trying to convince myself that the Green Bay Packers are going to lose to the Bears and the Seahawks are going to lose to the Cardinals.
Yeah, that's where I'm having trouble here.
That's where we lose ourselves.
And I don't know. And here's the thing: we have to. And the other option is Tampa Bay losing to Carolina. So I don't know which one I don't know which one to root for because all of those are so fucking improbable that I can't see it actually. I can't see any of it happening.
I will say, I think maybe it seemed very improbable until a crazy Week 17 slate of games that we had. So basically, the Bears destroyed the Falcons.
Yeah, that was weird.
Absolutely destroyed the Falcons.
The Bears had we'll get to that game, but they did no business winning that game.
No. And then the Cardinals, they won their game against the Eagles.
I know.
So,
but the Eagles are in big trouble.
They are in big trouble.
We'll get to that game too.
But yeah, again, I'm convincing myself that these games are going to happen. So fuck you, Saints.
The Saints look good against Tampa, and Tampa was supposedly on a fucking roll. We looked great.
That's what they do all the time. Remember, we called this last time.
I know.
We called this that they were going to win this game. They were going to give us hope.
And it's not like I can't root for us to lose next week because that means I'm rooting for the Falcons to win, and I just can't. I can never do that. Not in a million fucking years.
Yep.
We could be in line for the number 1 pick, and I would probably root for us to beat Atlanta.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have to take care of a bit of business against Atlanta. And And honestly, dude, I can kind of see, I've been kind of convincing myself that Carolina, this would be a weird game that Carolina would win.
Like, yeah, because it doesn't matter if they're already secured or
they're not getting the number one pick.
They're not getting the
They
number
don't give
one
a
pick.
fuck about that.
No.
So this is like, I don't know. It's just something where like I think Bryce Young is just, he's fed up. He wants to like win. They're pissed off at the entire season and they want to fuck up Tampa Bay's chances. Like,
he's not used to losing.
No, he's not used to losing. I honestly look. I'm convincing myself right. I'm actually doing it more and more right now. But I think Carolina beating Tampa is our best bet because I don't think Seattle's going to lose to Arizona, and I don't think Green Bay is going to lose to the Bears. Although both of those things can definitely happen because the Bears and Cardinals are coming off W's.
Yep.
So there you go. I just convinced myself we could win. We could make the playoffs
That's
again.
it.
And this is the fucking Saints doing this to me every goddamn year.
Yes, they're luring you in. They're
Yeah.
luring you in to do this. This is what happens.
We looked good. We looked really fucking good. All right, I'm done. You got anything else on this?
That's it.
All right, Packers versus Vikings, really good. Really quick. Packers will probably they're a winning in type of they're a winning in type of situation. So they Seattle needs the Packers to lose in order to get in. But all they need to do is beat the Bears. Jordan Love is so good at throwing off his back foot.
I was going to say, he literally is like the new Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
The mechanics are just not there, but he just makes it work.
Yeah. Dude, this is the biggest, like, what-if season for the Vikings, man. Like, what if Kirk Cousins didn't get hurt or Justin Jefferson? Like, their team's really good. Josh Dobbs and Nick Mullins are both just not good.
And Jaren Hall.
Jaren Hall's not good. Those are all just, like, third-string quarterbacks, like practice squad quarterbacks.
Yep.
That they tried to make do. Yeah, it sucks. But other than that, I don't really have anything on this game other than, like, the Packers just need to win and get in.
Yeah. Which is why it's terrible as a Saints fan to be depending on them to lose for us to get in.
Actually, this is a good segue to the next game, Steelers versus Seahawks. Seahawks put themselves in a bit of a pickle here, and the Steelers had no business winning that game. The Steelers can still make the playoffs. Like, it's very unlikely. Here's the big thing. If the Bills lose to Miami this week, there is a very, very good chance the Steelers make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
A very good chance. Now, if there's a scenario where Pitt loses to the Ravens, although the Ravens are sitting all their players, there is a scenario where if the Steelers lose to the Ravens, they can still get in. They need the Jags to lose.
Okay.
The Jags are not going to lose to the Titans. But yes, there is actually a scenario where Pitt loses and gets in. Pitt wins, Buffalo loses, they're in. Indianapolis and Houston are playing each other, and it doesn't matter which one of those teams for the Steelers wins.
Mm-hmm.
They need Buffalo to lose. And honestly, I think Miami has something to prove. And both like they're coming off a horrific loss to the Ravens. Buffalo's kind of on a roll. They didn't look too great against the Patriots. So, who knows? The Steelers might make the playoffs.
Yeah, the Steelers, I felt like this was a Mike Tomlin, I'm securing a winning record again.
Yes, you can't fire me.
You can't fire me.
Or the Pittsburgh Steelers won't fire me.
Yeah. Because he knows the organization well. He knows that, they're more of the conservative type on, making decisions like that.
Yep. And like I said earlier, Seattle needs to win and needs Green Bay to lose. And that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's get to the next one. Bears Falcons. Look, the Falcons, as wild as this sounds, can still win the division. Like I said, they need Carolina to win, and they need to beat the Saints, and they can still win the division.
It's unbelievable.
This is the worst fucking division of all time. And why the Bears won that game, I have no idea. They're just taking away from their draft pick.
Their number one pick though. They're not taking anything away from because they don't even have control of it. It's basically how the Panthers perform.
Right. But they've already secured that.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I feel like Justin Fields is doing the exact same thing as he did last year. He's just finishing off the year on the high note. That's going to get them extra hype for him during the season. They're already talking about him bringing him back.
Yeah, and Matt Eberflus is he needs to win out in order to, because his seat was warming up. His seat was warming up a little bit, and I think he could feel it. So they got Montez Sweat, which then the defense looks fucking nasty now. Justin Fields is, like you said, he's playing well towards the end of the season like he did last year, getting everybody excited. So, yeah, I can see the Bears like putting up a fight against the Packers.
And also, the big thing that's coming out right now is apparently the value for Justin Fields is a second or third round pick.
Really?
Whereas you can get possibly the same haul that Carolina sent for Bryce Young for last year's pick if you want to trade the first round pick. If you want to trade the first pick.
That's not a bad idea.
So, yeah, that's kind of what's...
if they keep Justin Fields, if they want to keep Justin Fields, they can get a nice little haul.
And then get some weapons around him.
Yep.
And just, give him one more year. And if it doesn't work out, then you just put in a new quarterback with all those weapons.
Right. Let's see. Falcons, they got problems. They got big problems. They definitely need a quarterback.
It's almost seemed like it was a try to get Arthur Smith fired game.
Yeah. It's what it was almost like, when the Chargers played the Raiders and tried to get Brandon Staley fired.
Exactly.
That is kind of what that game felt like.
It kind of felt like that, but then little do they know that they still have a chance after.
They can still make the playoffs.
They can still make the playoffs.
Let's get to the Cardinals-Eagles. Defense. The Eagles are in trouble. Their defense is shot. I think they're going to be eliminated in the first round no matter who they play. I think that they're just... I don't know if, Sirianni lost the locker room or what happened, but they don't look like the Eagles of the first half of the season.
No. Especially they went up 21-6 in this game and let Cardinals come back and Jonathan Gannon get a victory on his return back to Philly.
Yep. It is nice to have Kyler Murray for those situations, though.
Yeah.
It's better than who they have. Josh Dobbs. They had Josh Dobbs before he got traded to the Vikings.
Yes. Clayton Tune.
Ooh, I don't even know who that is. But yeah, good win for the Cardinals. Good win for the Cardinals. Eagles bad, very very bad, very in big trouble. And you know how those fucking fans in Philly are.
They're brutal.
They're brutal.
It's not like they just won a Super Bowl not so long,
or they went to the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah.
No, dude, they fired Doug Peterson 2 years or 3 years after the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Dude, it's wild, man. It's insane. I don't understand. But anyways, Eagles are gonna lose in the first round. Bet the house. Ravens versus Dolphins. Dude, the Ravens are gonna win the Super Bowl.
It sure looks like it. Looks like it.
Dude, the only thing I want from this playoffs, if the Saints don't make it, the only thing I want from this playoffs, I want a Cleveland Browns versus Baltimore Ravens AFC Championship game.
Okay.
I want an LA Rams versus Detroit Lions NFC Championship game.
Ooh.
Those are the only two things I would want from this playoffs. Matt Stafford going back to Detroit and Joe Flacco going back to Baltimore.
I see your angle here. I see the storyline.
Dude, I would fucking die for that.
You're a big storyline guy.
Yeah, I'm turning ever since we started this podcast, I'm more of a storyline guy. It obviously, look, I said it. If the Saints make it, obviously that goes to shit. I would still like to see the AFC Championship game between the Browns and Ravens, but if the Saints don't make it, what if we got a Cleveland Browns versus Detroit Super Bowl?
Are you secretly an NFL scriptwriter?
No, but I'm in training.
You're in training.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's a very long, vigorous course.
Probably a pretty secretive society, isn't it? Pretty close knit.
Well, not anymore.
Okay.
Because
y'all got exposed.
Yeah. So now they were just kind of running with it.
Okay. Just doing it plain sight.
Yep. Just hiding in plain sight, pretty much. Yeah. Lamar. It's nice because Lamar kind of secured the MVP. There was a bunch of debate around it, whether it be who it should be. I think he kind of secured the MVP with this game. he didn't have very much competition, but hey, an MVP's an MVP.
There hasn't been like a very strong candidate like all year long. It's kind of the odds really have been switching up like every week.
Right.
So, but Lamar, yeah, best player, best team. It's been doing enough to solidify himself. He'll probably get the MVP again.
Yep. And the Dolphins are frauds. They're frauds.
It seems to be a louder chant in the social media world now with...
They beat the Cowboys, but the Cowboys have a losing record on the road.
Oh, is that how it got justified?
Yes.
Because first it was, sub 500 teams that they would lose to. But now it's also sub 500 teams on the road.
On the road, yes, correct. So, and also I don't think the Cowboys got away with a W, which we'll get to next. But yeah, both those teams are frauds. I think they're not going to make it past the first round.
So are they more frauds than the Eagles?
No, the Eagles might be. Well, here's the thing. I don't think you can call the Eagles frauds because they're just really bad.
Okay.
Like, we know they're really bad. There's still like an illusion that the Cowboys and the Dolphins are good. It's just we know the Eagles suck.
They're a really terrible team with good talent.
Yes. That yes. Okay. I like that. Dolphins frauds, Ravens Super Bowl champs. Let's see. You got anything else on this one?
That's about it.
All right. Last game, Lions Cowboys. At least, all right, here's the thing that the Lions can hold their hat on. At least this wasn't a blown call in the playoffs.
Yes.
They've already secured they're the kings of the North, okay? The king in the North. They have a home game, playoff home game for the first time since I don't know when, 1993 I think it was. It was 30 years.
Yep.
I was 3 years old, but
it was also the NFC Central
back then, yeah. At least this happened during the regular season and not in a playoff game or a win and get in, lose in the out game. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I would be pissed because it was a blown call. We're talking about the 2-point conversion call at the end of the game where Dan Campbell was kind of ballsy for going for it on two, going for two. He was even more ballsy for doing it again.
Yep.
After that call and not kicking a field goal from the 7-yard line. I guess they had a player that told the ref that he was eligible and said that and basically let the ref know. Then they had another guy go up to the ref, but we don't know if he said anything. And the guy who caught, I think Decker was the guy who caught the pass.
Yeah, Taylor Decker.
And they called him as an ineligible receiver. So the 2-point conversion was called back. Then they went for the 2-point conversion again, didn't get it. Lions ended up losing to the Cowboys by 1. He was an eligible receiver.
Yeah, I think they tried to do a confusion for the Cowboys to see, because they sent multiple linemen up to go report him as the eligible receiver, and apparently it confused the refs as well.
Yeah, it was.
So he thought Sipper was the one that was eligible.
Mm-hmm.
He put the lineman Sipper when it was actually supposed to be Taylor Decker.
That's Dan Campbell, Galaxy Brain, being really confusing.
Yep.
Which is good. It's fine. I mean, like, it's when you're so good at being confusing that you confuse the refs, that's when it backfires.
Yep.
That's when it backfires. I like it. I kind of like I like the creativity.
Yeah.
On Campbell.
It kind of almost seems like a Belichick type of move.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Feel like a Belichick type of play call. There.
Yeah. Even though, which, if you really think about it, typically the ref actually announces it.
Right.
It doesn't get as much fanfare. Most of the time it's because they usually have the camera panned on something else, but he'll announce, he'll be like, hey, number 68 is eligible receiver before the play even starts.
Right. He didn't, which I think they're going to probably do a better job moving forward of announcing it.
Yes.
They have to, actually. But
We're probably going to hear cheers from the fans,
correct.
too, every time.
Yeah, it's like, thank you. You got it right.
It's going to be a big part of the game now.
But again, like I said, Lions fans, you're good. You're good. That was a decent Dallas team that you basically should have beat. You basically did beat. And you just got torched by CeeDee Lamb, who, in my opinion, is the best wide receiver in football right now.
Oh, yeah.
He is by far. I'm not by far, but like the only other person I can think of is maybe Tyreek Hill. Like Justin Jefferson's been hurt. You know, like I don't really see anyone else. Jamar Chase has been injured. Like
A.J. Brown's having a little bit of a slump.
he's right. That's what I'm saying. Right. That's what I said right now.
Most consistent, yeah, I can see CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb. And I'm not saying that because he basically carried what little fantasy team I had.
Or that you draft him every year in fantasy.
I do draft him every year in fantasy. Well, he's so good. He's so good. Which, by the way, my fantasy team, I was out of the playoffs, and then it went on a tear. I went on a 5-game win streak. I don't want to talk about it. But holy fucking CeeDee Lamb. 27 yards and like 5,000 touchdowns. Dude, it was wild. Hang on. I want to pull up the stats because it needs to be said. Yes. 13 catches, 227 yards, and 1 touchdown. He had a 92-yarder.
Just didn't have an answer for him.
Nope, they didn't. I think that's one of those things where they were just like, I guess we can't stop him, so we'll just let him get his and then stop everyone else.
Yeah, yep.
It's like what teams tried to do with Michael Jordan. You know, they were just like, all right, Michael Jordan's going to get his 30 to 40 points a game. We're just going to try and stop everyone else.
Yeah, and see if that actually works in our favor.
Right. So, and Dak has a decent enough arm to get it to him, so yeah.
Maybe just think like, hey, CeeDee Lamb's just going to tire himself out at some point, you know?
Right.
Then he'll slow down.
Yep. He's so fucking good. He's so good. You got anything else on this one?
I think that's about it.
All right, let's do a little prediction on the national championship game before we get going. Michigan -4.5 versus Washington. What are we going to do?
Well, you have to do Washington. They're underdogs.
Are you talking about like who's gonna win, or are you doing spread?
Heck, you probably just do money line. Do money line Washington.
Washington money line.
Yeah, I mean this is the way it's been all year. I mean,
here's my issue. I'm going Jim Harbaugh versus Kalen DeBoer. I was actually more confident in Kalen DeBoer versus Steve Sarkisian than I am going against Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh just beat Nick Saban. Granted, it was not a very good Alabama team, or not one of his great Alabama teams, but he still beat Nick Saban. I might have to disagree. I might say go blue.
Okay. I like I said, Washington, I don't have an explanation. They just are a team of destiny for me.
Yep, they do feel like a team of destiny. Michael Penix Jr. It would be actually, you know what? I might change my. I want to root. I would pick Michigan to win, but I'm rooting for Washington. If that makes any sense.
Makes none.
Okay, I'm rooting for Washington. I want Michael Penix Jr. to get a championship. I know he's old. I know he's like 24 or whatever. But you know, it's one of those things. Like I don't know. He's worked so fucking hard. He deserves it. I think he deserves it.
Yeah. No, he's a great player. And honestly, let's not forget, Kalen DeBoer, I know it's the lower division, the NAIA division, but he has 3 titles from that division.
Oh, he's just a good coach.
So it's just maybe just winning is in his blood.
Yeah. All right. Well, so just for the record, I will say I'm picking Michigan to win this, but I'm rooting for Michael Penix.
Okay.
You're picking Washington?
Honestly, I'm going Washington.
Let's go, baby. All right. You got anything else?
That's about it.
All righty. We will see y'all next week.